and the stream. Well, okay. So we got about an 8-second change between the two. Yeah, there's not much. So there will be a little bit of a delay. But the opening section here, got about 1 minute and 10 seconds. Just scrolling through the town. Not a whole lot going on. All right. This opening section, whenever Ness gets out of bed, we will have to be grabbing a bat. The Earthbound has a lot of little triggers that they expect you to do a few things. The opening section, all it really expects you to do is at some point you're going to have to grab a bat to protect yourself. But other than that, we're just going to be going up the hill. Story-wise, we're about to have a meteor crash down, and Ness, being the diligent little 13-year-old, gets out of bed in his jammies and goes out and checks it out. And the Earthbound control scheme, Earthbound was very generous, and it was a game that let you play the game left-handed. It's one of the things that made me love the game as I was a kid, because I'm left-handed, and most games are really more favoring to the right-handed folks. But L and select have the same functionality as A and B, respectively, which A and L are your confirms or OK button, and B and select are your cancel buttons. And L on the field, you're able to check things and open up boxes, or you can talk to people with it as well. And select will just cancel any menu options. But the game really follows more of a old Dragon Quest style, with very text-based. If you're in front of boxes, you actually have to check them. If you're in front of people, you have to select talk to them. But it was at least modernized so that you can check people as well. It's not exclusive like Dragon Warrior was back in the day. Alright, yeah, we got them pretty much caught up here. So again, nothing really happening in this opening section. You just have to go up and talk to Pokey. He's our best bud and neighbor, and also a jerk. But upon returning to the house, shenanigans are afoot, and it's time to get out into some dangerous territory. If you're used to watching runs of this from people, you may be used to seeing manipulation. That was something I had mentioned. But we don't do it here in races, because if you lose the manipulation, it's about a 10-minute time loss. And if, let's say, one person gets it and the other doesn't, it's a 10-minute gap, and just not too good. So for the purpose of these races, we choose not to do it. Pokey coming out here saying, hey, without checking the meteorite, got separated from my brother. Dad's gonna beat us up, so I need your help. And Mom is not having us walking around in our PJs, so we're gonna solve that first. And you can see on both screens how Mom is moving differently there. That's when we're talking about manipulation. The game works in such a way that if you play the exact same way every time, as in you walk the same way, you hit the same buttons at the same time, you're able to change where NPCs walk and where enemies spawn, because pretty much everything can be determined based on the game's RAM values, and we're able to fully manipulate that. Oh, so now that we got spawns going, we have crows, which will either make a beeline for you or just kind of go off in a random direction, but they tend to move at an angle. Dogs will chase right after you, and so will snakes. But snakes are a preferred enemy, because as you can see here on Flesh's screen, though he's getting a little risky, they will only move when you move. So if you tap the controller in a form called stutter stepping, you're able to get past them. Hopefully Mr. Crow doesn't come around. All right. Yeah, sometimes the crow will move off in a direction that will get them stuck on a wall, and you can get around them pretty easily. And another mechanic here that you just saw with Watashi is called despawning. If you get enemies about a fifth of the way off of the screen, they will unload, and you can go back over and walk right on by, hopefully. Hopefully nobody has taken their place. But Watashi getting up in under 5.5 minutes, it's a pretty good time to get up here. And I mean, both people, that was a good walk for them. That can be very dangerous. Crow fights are nasty, because even though they are a introduction enemy in the game, they are one of the fastest enemies in the game, and they don't take nothing from you. They can very easily send you back to mom's house. So in classic fashion, we're here at the meteor, and as we walk by, a bee comes down from space and gives us a prophecy. It's pretty much typical for games of the era. Tells all the kids, we need to go get all these melodies because there's an alien life form that's a destroyer, and these melodies will help us beat them. And we're in no position to argue with the bee from space. Alright, as they go down here, grabbing this bread roll, it's not a required item by any means, but it is a free health restore, and it's really helpful in the second little section of Onett. But coming up on the first boss, which is possible to lose, but you have to put a couple of hours of work into it. You need to get level 12. So they won't be losing this fight, but it can be a very big time loss. He has a couple of different actions. He can either guard, he can do a freeze attack, or 2 different fire attacks. The guard is what we want to see. If not that, we'd like to see the freeze because it has the quickest animation. And then after that, we want to see, fire. But, or not I want to see, but we will see fire. Oh wow, Starman has about 200 health here, and Buzzbuzz will always start off by casting a shield so he can't hurt you. And then on the next turn, he'll attack. Watashi got a much better hit off because he did 107 damage versus the 64 that Flesh got. And Watashi got an absolutely outstanding Starman. Even with the fire, that was really, really good. I think Flesh is going to have to go at least 3 turns deep. Oh yeah. With 2 hits of 64, he is going to have another turn here. So Watashi will come out the gate a little bit stronger. But one of the interesting things about this is with many RPGs, you tend to see things routed in such a way that people know everything the bosses are going to do, know every spawn that's coming, watching your step count and all that. Earthbound, we don't have any of that. And our stat gains are quite random. So it's very possible that with where Watashi's going to be standing with her stats, she could be in a really difficult position, have trouble with the next boss, and Flesh could be coming out better with it. Or Watashi can get into the first little grinding section, and really the only grinding section, and have a little worse luck than Flesh, and we just keep going back and forth. And one of the things that I've loved about the game after doing it for so many years is it's never the same run twice. And even with these races, it's only a small section of the run, but we do get to see just many different situations happen for people. Different item drops. There is one that's a 1 in 128 chance. If you're used to watching Manipulation, we get 2 of them. But in this, it's very rare, and it's a bomb, and it can speed up the boss fights tenfold. And sometimes folks get it, sometimes they don't. And actually, more often than not, they don't. Buzz here telling them, you know, hey, look, my time has come. I can't beat a common housewife. I can beat aliens, but not the common housewife. So you've got to go get those melodies. Here's an item to do it, and best of luck. That is right. She did already have a drop for the day. I'm having a little issue on video. Manually load the streams back up here real quick. Coming out of Pokey's house. Yes. Load. There we go. All right, sorry, little bit of a video problem. But coming out of the house, what they're going to do is they're going to go up and go to the secret tree house. There is a hat there, and while it gives you more defense than the hat that you can get in the store, it also sells for $99. And they're going to sell that, get a little bit worse hat, but that allows them to get a cheap bracelet, which will give them a lot more defense, as well as a better bat. Then they're going to come down here and fight these Pogo Punks. This one is optional, but the reason that they're fighting that first one is because it will always give you a hamburger, and you're going to get just the extra experience so that the actual boss fights are better. And then inside, you have another Pogo Punk. Same fight both times. He has a charge attack that can do about 10 to 12 damage, and he can also just fall down and do nothing, and do a little small attack that does about 3 or 4. Alright, there we go. Now I'm back up. And then the last of the kids is the Hula Kid that you just saw. Less threatening than the Pogo Punk, but he can dish out a little bit of damage, but nothing major. But wow, with the smashes. Okay, so how Frank works is anytime you take damage, you're going to want to heal. He has his Brandish and Knife attack, which can do about 18 to 24 damage, and a basic bash, which does like 10 to 12. And if he gets, wow, Watashi with the luck. If he gets 2 of those knife attacks off in a row and you didn't heal, you're going to die. And how smashes work, by the way, you have a gut stat. And that stat will determine your critical hits. And critical hits are just a straight up 3 times your offense minus the enemy's defense. And then the Frankenstein fight, he always opens up with doing a burst of steam, and then he does a low attack. And then after that, he's able to do another attack, which can do, I think, 24 to about 28 damage. Much more threatening. Actually, I think it can approach up to 30. But because he has that downturn, you're able to maybe get off a little bit more offense before healing. Because Earthbound has the handy little rolling HP counter. And the way that works is as long as you're able to get an action off before your HP rolls down to 0, you can save yourself. So you can get off a last attack to kill an enemy, or you can get a heal off so you don't have to see that game over screen. But both players getting through here, Watashi having a whole lot of smashes on them. Flesh had a couple of smashes too, so it's very smash heavy. But if you leave this fight and you're not in great shape, you're able to come back and talk to Frank. And whenever you talk to Frank, he just gives you a full heal. So once you beat him, you have full hotel access. Don't have to go anywhere for it. And for beating them, the nice mayor of the town is going to give you the key to the city. Ness is such a go-getter, being 13 years old and getting handed all these accolades. But that lets us get into the first dungeon of the game. Another thing that they're going to be doing, most likely, is they're going to go get a little bit more money, and they're going to grab some hamburgers. In PB attempts, this would not be something someone would do if they were doing it unmanipulated. But the reason that they are grabbing hamburgers is, since this is a race, dying on the bosses here is a huge time loss, and grabbing a couple of extra burgers helps to not ensure that you will be able to beat the first boss, but at least makes it a lot more safe. And in most every case, people are going to get the burgers, so it's not like you're getting a little bit of a time loss compared to your opponent, since really most everyone's going to do it. There are a few folks who will try to be a little ballsy and go without them. Ness does eat a lot of junk food. That is true. But he's a young, growing boy, very athletic, a lot of metabolism. He'll be fine. You know, notice the enemies are running from Watashi. Once you get to... Oh man, it's been a while. I don't remember the actual calculation. But at a certain level above the enemies, they will start running from you. But also, with those small enemies, if you beat Frank, you've gotten enough levels that they're not a threat. But what they're going to be looking for here is these packs of slugs. And they come in sets of 4, though sometimes you'll only find like 1 or 2. But you're going to want to kill 22 of these to get to level 8 to get an offensive skill that will let you fight the first boss much better. And here on the first floor, whenever you see these dots, they are always slugs. But once you go up, there is another enemy called an antoid. And just from experience running the game, you can tell the difference. Not every time, but sometimes if you look, if there's a pack of 4 on the second floor, those are always slugs. But if there's maybe 2 together and then another 2 way off on the other side of the screen, odds are those are probably ants. And ants are very dangerous and you don't want to fight them. But slugs will almost always hit for a consistent amount. Looks like they're both getting hit by 4. And they have 30 HP. Sometimes whenever you first come in here, you don't have enough offense to always hit at 30. My recommendation for that is not auto-fighting the first set of slugs, because if you do, say, 29 to 1, and then you attack a different one, and you get 29 to that one, you know, 2 turns in, you've still got 4 slugs on the screen. And after turn 4, they are able to concentrate and able to use the hypnosis skill. While not particularly lethal, it can kind of screw you up, and it's bad karma to die to slugs. Yeah, this is actually for a frame by frame type of basis. You don't want smashes on the slugs because it's extra time and you don't need the extra damage. But once you get enough offense that you're always one-shotting them, it's best to auto-fight the slugs. However, Watashi has canceled her auto-fight. The reason that she has done that is because when Ness gets below about 15 HP at this range, he will automatically life up himself. So what you want to do is cancel the auto-fight and then just heal after the fight. She was in no danger of dying there, and if she would have life upped, this would have been an extra turn, would have been a waste. But whenever you're auto-fighting, Life Up has a priority list. Normally, it will auto-attack, but if someone is at a low HP value, it'll heal them. If someone is affected with the status effect, if somebody has a psychic move that can remove it, then it'll do that as well. With varying priority lists, like deadly status effects such as your Diamond Eyes, or you have a poison, or if someone's dead. If you have the higher level healings, those will come first before like a cold or something minor. I think blind, which is crying, I think that is the lowest on the priority list. There we go, with 4 slugs right there. Go ahead and take that. But every enemy in here can be stutter stepped. Stutter stepping is a technical thing for Earthbound that once you master it, you're able to get through some sections way easier than without it. Both of them getting packs of slugs here pretty regularly. This is not a bad slug hunt for either one of them. On the top floor, you can get a pack of 6, which a lot of folks, what they like to do is get 16 on floor 1. This is a dilemma. These could be slugs, but odds are they're going to be ant and a slug. So yeah, that was very unfortunate for Watashi. A smart move to try to get away from it, but down she goes. Well, there's our first casualty of the run. No, Diamond Eyes is way later. But what happened with Watashi there with that red swirl, that is a preemptive strike in favor of the enemy. And you can also get green swirls, which is a preemptive strike in favor of you. It has to do with what direction you hit the enemy in. If they hit your back or side hitbox with their front, then you get a red swirl. But if you hit their back hitbox with your front or your side, then you'll get a green. Otherwise, it'll be a blue, and everything's neutral. But unfortunately, Watashi here on the Walk of Shame has to go back to mom, heal up, and when you leave the house, you also have a photo trigger, which costs you even more time. But it's alright, she already had a pretty good amount, so she just has to take that walk back and take a little bit of a loss. She was just a bit ahead of Flesh, so this let him catch up and just a little bit ahead. This 6-pack will, I believe, solve everything for Flesh, so be able to get out of there. Oh, offense up by 5, which is very good. What they're looking for is 24 offense. At 24 offense, what will happen is in the next section you have a lot of little single ants, and if you get single ants, then at 24 or higher offense, you will just instantly kill them without actually initiating a battle. In this section, there's always a butterfly. You just have to go to the right. If you come from the left side, you're not going to be able to get it. Well, not going to be able to get it. It's just not going to spawn. But butterflies give 20 psychic points. So it's sort of maybe a hot springs type of thing in other games. It will give you a mid-dungeon pick-me-up. Alright, so Flesh on the way to Titanic Ant. So, Titanic Ant. For race purposes, when you take damage, you're going to want to heal. He does a whole bunch, anywhere from that attack right there that does about 20, to another attack that does about 40. And the best move that he can do is this defense down. While it does make it to where you're taking more damage from his hits, not a whole lot more. Magnet's a pretty poopy move, because it can make it to where you can't do a life up or do your rock-ins, but fortunately got both of them off. And I got 102 damage rockin', and yeah, that was really good. And has 236 HP. So with over 100 damage rockin's and then a basic attack, that's Flesh on the way. That was a very atypical ant. And I didn't see what Watashi's offense is, but looking at, he's skipping the fights, I'm assuming she does not have 24. Yeah, Rockin's damage range is like 40 to 120. So it's much more common to get in the range of about 70 to 80. Getting over 100 is much more rare. Alright, so Flesh will be walking out and heading to the police station, which is the last part of this first town of Onett. Watashi is coming up for her ant fight. Let's see how this goes. Okay, Titanic started with the shield. That is unfortunate. That halves the damage that Ness's bashes will do. But a pretty good rockin'. Hopefully this will be less than a 5 magnet. Okay. Because in these races we get hamburgers, it's really not too bad if you just get 4 or 5 taken away with magnets. But since he does have the shield up, what she's going to want to be doing is keep bashing, and after a couple of hits, it'll take the shield off. Or if you get a smash, it'll automatically take the shield off. But what she's wanting now is just defense downs and magnets. Magnet is completely inconsequential. But unfortunately, he is attacking a bit. There we go. Defense down. And there we go. Neither player had a death on Titanic yet. It's a pretty common death spot. If he hits you, he can smash you for up to 60. And if he just wants to sit there and do his high damage attack roll, you're just going to be sitting there healing all day. But after leaving, Ness realizes he broke the law, has to go to the police station. But when he gets there, instead of getting arrested, the captain decides to challenge him in their dojo, see if he can beat up his cops, and if he can, he'll let him go to the next town. For those of you who didn't grow up in the 90s, this is how we had to do things to travel to the next town. You had to go to the cops' dojo and see if you were worthy of getting to go. The way the cops work is they will either do a basic attack, which does in the low teens, or a crushing chop, which can do about 28 to 32, depending on their defense. 34, yeah, that's not good. They have a pretty good chance of missing. It's not wholly uncommon to see it. Some people feel that under 60 HP you want to heal. For me, I feel it's closer to 50. 50 is not super safe, but if you're quick at mashing, then it's not too bad. I won't heal unless I'm unless I'm at or below 50. Generally, if I am below 50, I'll use a life up because it'll get me up closer. But if I'm at 50, I'll just use a hamburger. Yeah, I feel the worst death spot in Onett is the cops, because if you get all the way through the cops, you've probably used a burger or two, and if you get to, let's say you get to strong and you die, you have to come all the way back down, and you have to go through this entire gauntlet again. You may have to buy more hamburgers. I feel that the cop fight is a bigger spot to die at that will cost you time than anything in Giant Step. But all 4 of the cops are the same fight. Captain Strong is a little bit more menacing. Alright, so Flesh coming into the Captain Strong fight. Strong can do much more damage. I believe his damage range is about 20 to 60. But he does have 2 turn waste. He has one that will increase his offense, and another which he's just on guard, which will half the damage that he takes from any bash attacks. But if this Rockin' lands, then Flesh will be out of Onett. Oh, and with the smash on Watashi, fortunately, she has plenty of HP. She'll be able to heal up from it and have no problem. But Flesh is the first person out with a 29-18 Onett. Not bad at all. Yeah, that Rockin' will not be affected by guards. Guards only affect bash attacks. So even there's a lot of physical attacks that will happen. We have paintbrush. We have brandishing a paintbrush in the next area. That's not a bash attack, so that actually can't smash, and it is unaffected by guard. Oh, Watashi's good luck from the early part of the run is not helping her now. These enemies are not being very cooperative. But the little house that Flesh went by, it has an exit mouse. That's this game's exit spell. There is no like proper exit spell. It's just a little rat you keep in your inventory, and when you're in dungeons, he'll walk you out. But we don't need that at all in this run. And the mushrooms that you see there, they have a new movement pattern. They stay asleep until you get close enough to them, but once you get close enough to them, they will chase you down until you get out of range of them. And we'll be seeing that with sprouts coming up too. It's a pretty common movement pattern going on throughout the game. Man, Strong is giving Watashi the business. All right, as long as, yeah, 74. Rockin' can miss. It's based on speed, so there's a chance it can be resisted. All right, Watashi's got him. The 31-11-0 net. A little tumultuous, but as I said at the start, she had really good luck coming right out the gate. I mean, all the way through to the first part of her slug grind, everything was really good, but Earthbound just decided no. So she's got a little bit of ground to cover to get back up to Flesh. But while Flesh is here in Tucson, taking out some money and making a save, what is the reasoning for that is we're going to be doing a death warp a little bit later. Also, if you die somewhere in Peaceful Rest Valley, which is the next area, it's nice to respawn in Tucson, other than having to all go back and talk to Mom. Wow. That is unfortunate. Burned pretty much all of her hamburgers. So here we have to come talk to Apple Kid. Apple Kid is an inventor who's down on his luck. Needs any kind of food from you. Fruit juice will work. Cookie will work. Just get something in his belly, which instantly means you're best friends because you fed him. And then he also needs $200. Yeah, so a 2-minute difference between them. And in this race, that's really not a whole lot. I mean, there have been people who've had 7-8 minute deficits, or I think even more. And the person gets the boogie tent and just gets annihilated and has to fight them 3 or 4 times. So 2 minutes is nothing. And here in this cave, one of my least favorite rooms in the game, one that is usually a cause for much swearing and sadness. These enemies will spawn real close to the door, and you can't just despawn them by walking left and right, because they don't care. You don't have enough room, so you have to do a screen transition. Those screen transitions take like 5 seconds a piece if you're having to do a music change in the first room. So they eat up a lot of time. And that was a lot of despawns for Flesh, and that actually gave Watashi, I'd say probably 20-30 seconds of a catch up there. And up here, you don't actually have to talk to the pencil. You just have to get close enough for it to load into the game's memory. It doesn't even have to be on screen, but some people still go all the way up and make sure they see it. I've been running the game for over 3.5 years, and I still like to see it on screen. It's just a mental thing that if I know the exact spot that you need to be, but if I don't see it on screen, I get nervous. Yeah, Flesh not having some good spawns here. If Watashi's able to get through this pretty clean, she will have a lot of time made up here. She is going to go ahead and get that first butterfly. You're going to want 2 butterflies on the way over to the next area, because with butterflies giving you 20 psychic points, and you have a cap of, I believe they're above level 9, so the 31, I think. Alright, there we go. Watashi just made up probably about 30 seconds right there. Simply because she didn't get spawns. Now, Flesh also had some spawns going up here, so let's see if she can clear up a little bit more time. Since Flesh already got one of the butterflies. They are close. This whole area, Peaceful Rest Valley, is one of the worst sections in the game for any runner. A lot of deaths here. A lot of annoyances. But when you get back, you just have to go to the park, talk to Apple Kid, who's been working diligently for the whole 4 minutes that we've left him alone, and he's now made a device that will erase iron pencils, because we need it. And he's apparently a prophet. Alright, yeah, Watashi made up, I don't know, I want to say probably about 45 seconds here. Maybe less if she gets spawns now. Because he had a good walk back. Yeah, that's really unfortunate, because this section you have to do a music transition. Alright, there we go. Alright, so some of that time's getting ate up. We'll see, he went in at 36:02. Oh, I wonder if he was going for that butterfly. Butterflies are traps. They will tell you, hey, it's safe over here. Come over, get your psychic points refilled. And then you get there and die. Because you weren't paying attention. Alright, so both butterflies done. So now Flash going to the worst part of Peaceful Rest Valley, which is all of it. As we go over here, we're going to start seeing another set of enemies other than those UFOs and the Sprouts, which are whirling robos. They are a generic diamond, which is an enemy sprite that you'll see in a whole bunch of the game. And the weird thing with those spawns is that's just a placeholder. It's something that they didn't finish. So there are many enemies in the game that have that sprite, even though they don't look like a diamond in battle. It's just they made it as a placeholder for like 20 different enemies. But he's actually a robo. But a lot of these areas, you don't have a lot of room to maneuver. So when you're trying to despawn, sometimes you can get an enemy spawning behind you. And you get stuck with the fight. So the last part of this was a bit of a hindrance for Watashi. Just a little under 2 minutes behind now. Again, she covered a lot of ground. Got much closer. But the spawns towards the end had something to say about that. Yes, large sprite enemies, you can actually hit them from the other side of a cliff if there's sprites reaching over. This little section where Flesh is at right now is a place that I have dubbed Isengard. I have a highlight where I walked up and there was like 16 enemies, 7 of which I think were trees. And it was just like the Ent siege on Isengard. I had nowhere to go, so I ended up just cliff skipping and got through it and into the run on my own terms. Because sometimes the game is very unkind. Uh-oh. Oh, and then Flesh is in a situation here. Alright. Yep, we're fighting a robo. No way out of that one. Oh, and a cold, but be level 10 and be alright. I'm gonna have to get his psychic points back up, so this is Watashi's chance to get back up here. An advantage of this is a little bit extra experience. I believe this does, yeah, this does give the extra level. So I have a little bit more HP coming up for the next fight here. Oh. Not grabbing the butterfly. Alright, well, that was a green swirl, so green swirls are guaranteed runs. I'm a little surprised not going back to spawning a butterfly. This is Battletoads. It's a beta version of it. Huh, well, that let Watashi catch up. So now she's only a few seconds behind, or actually about half a second. And in much better position. Flesh is down to 10 psychic points. Again, a little bit more HP, but 10 psychic points. This is... I don't know. We'll see. This next fight coming up is one you don't want to mess with. Now, these cultists here, the biggest danger from them is they are a scripted enemy and a fight coming up after the cabin, and due to some lazy programming, if an enemy has a scripted encounter somewhere, which with a scripted encounter you can't run from it, you can't run from any of these enemy variants. So if they get into a fight with a cultist anywhere, they cannot run from it. And cultists can call for help, adding another cultist into the fight, as well as with their defensive range hit for probably about 15 to 20. You also have a crow in this fight, which can steal your food items. There was a little bit of delay right there for Flesh. I think you might have realized, like, oh, I have 10 psychic points. This ain't good. Cultists have 94, 93 HP. I think it's 94. So those are good rolls. Just one hit will take out both of them. Hopefully you don't have to call for help. Okay. Alright, so got out of it, but is out of psychic points. Not a huge problem. You don't need the psychic points. They are just very helpful. Hey, and the free cookie for Watashi. There is a decent strat that you can do. Oh, okay. He still has a lot of hamburgers. They are almost screen for screen right now. Okay, Flesh coming down here. There is a croissant down here. That's a smart move, even though he does have a good amount of hamburgers. It's nice just to have an extra healing item. I believe Watashi is out of hamburgers. Just using that to get up to a better HP level. Safer would be about 65, 70 HP. Though being at max is, of course, much better. Spawn luck is probably, I'd say, 30-40% of the run is your spawns. Wow, it's actually with the smash and now in the lead. Because, I mean, even if you get bad spawns, if you know how to handle them, especially in the later part of the game, where we try to get green swirls and everything, bad spawns are nothing but just a little bit of a hindrance. Because the way Earthbound works, since it's so RNG dependent, is the first half of the game, there's a lot of RNG, and there's a lot of times you're gonna see bad spawns, and you just have to know how to get around them, or you just have to know, do you take it, do you run, do you despawn? The second half of the game, we have a lot more options. We have the ability to kill a lot of enemies, and we have the ability to get a lot of green swirls. But with Tashi and Flesh in the Car Painter fight, the way Car Painter works is he has a cycle of 6 turns. Turn 1, he does a lightning attack, which can be reflected on him. Then he'll do a life up. Then he'll do an attack. Then after that, he will do a lightning, a shield, then an attack. And the best case scenario, you want to have those lightnings reflect back and take him out quickly. Wow, 178 lightning. That's almost max damage. But there's one thing about the fight is that we're wanting to get to a low HP level. And Watashi is much better off because she's in the 30s, while Flesh is at 104 because we're about to take a death warp. So Watashi's not only in the lead, but also in a better setup for the death warp coming up. Yeah, that was very good fights for both of them. The lightning has a 25% chance to go off, So if it doesn't go, you're not getting that extra damage. And after turn 5, you cannot hit him with life or with your Rockins anymore if you have it. And Pokey's showing up telling you, hey, look, I was a jerk, forgive me. And then after he gets out of swinging range, he heads out. Pretty common for him for the rest of the game. So, as I was saying again, some people don't believe it. They're used to games that are always just, oh, that's a death, that's it. A lot of RNG here in Earthbound. Watashi might have had a death, was 2 minutes behind, leaving no net. Now in the lead. So we snag Paula here out of the jail cell. She grabs her favorite teddy bear. Teddy bears act as little paladins. They have a 75% chance to be targeted if you have one in your party. And the basic teddy bears have 100 HP, but they will be tossing it because they're going to be doing a death warp. Getting rid of defensive items and the bear, because you want to be taking as much damage as possible. Oh man, 115 HP on Ness. Flesh might go. Yeah. Oh, and didn't even get the red swirl. So, in my personal view, I don't take the mole if I have 115 health. The mole can confuse himself as well as waste a turn, which is just not what you want. And you don't want to attack with Ness, because Ness can kill him very easily. Watashi getting Paula down very quick. If you go a little bit further, it can take about 12 to 15 seconds, but you can go over to a bear that's on the far right, and the bear will demolish these children. And, alright. Mole's not cooperating. When he's confused, he can attack himself, but he also has a high chance of missing. But that mole has a whole lot of HP to tear through for Ness for Flesh. Missing constantly. This is a pretty typical mole. Oh wow, 61 damage on Flesh. That's very good because that puts him down where he can just start defending. I am very surprised that Flesh finished that fight first. But, hey! We're almost screen for screen again. So we're back in Tucson. That was a very good mole for having to deal with 115 HP. Did Flesh hit up the ATM? I guess so. So now the Death Warp is complete. We gotta revive Paula because it's unfortunately you can't take her home as a ghost. Dad just doesn't accept it. Ooh, very close to that dog. Can't make that corner. So you do gotta revive Paula, and they come down and talk to not Luigi, and gets a backstage pass so they can get in and watch the shows. One thing that is nice for Earthbound for a longer run, again, you're looking at, once you get used to the run, about a 4-hour run, but normally you're looking at somewhere around the range of 5 hours, is you have over 25 minutes of extended input breaks throughout the run. So if you're someone who's going to need up and get a drink, use the bathroom, in some cases take a smoke break if you have to. There are many sections of Earthbound where you have 1.5 to 3 minutes of just complete input breaks. You get up, stretch your legs, do whatever you need to do. It's a very accommodating run for folks who are worried about a longer just sit down and play session. But once we go and we talk to her dad, we have to come over here. Talk to Everdread, who jumps down from his roof and gives these two kids $10,000, like a good patriot. Ever since I've been waiting just to walk around and see someone on a roof, jump down and give me 10 grand and solve my problems. Hasn't happened though in 30 years though, unfortunately. So they're gonna walk a little funky going here into the theater. There's a photo trigger right inside. Or not right inside, but like right in front of the door there's a photo trigger, so they want to walk around it and not take that time loss. So they come in, find someone who, probably looks like Nesta's sister, but they don't know any better. And they get to watch a show. There's a lot of these shows throughout the game. We have to watch 3 of them, but I believe there are 5 total. And this is one of the localization differences. In the Japanese version, these are called the Tanzura Brothers, and they're in black suits, and totally not a ripoff of the Blues Brothers. So for this version, they changed all their colors up so it doesn't look like they're just, copyright infringement, which there's a whole lot of that in that game. No, so we got some more people in here, so I'm looking. I don't believe there's any more races on speed gaming today. There might be, but I'm just kind of looking at the schedule for today. See, my race is at 4 p.m. Eastern today, and then we have a race at 3 p.m. Eastern, another race at 4 p.m. Eastern, and a race at 9 p.m. Eastern today. So there are 4 more races today, but it doesn't look like any of them will be on speed gaming. So again, if you're enjoying this, if you like Earthbound, I recommend I recommend following Earthbound on Twitch. Just actually follow the game and check out and see who's racing. Alright, yeah, so me and Cruel are going to getting our race done. So I'll have 2 today. I don't really stream as much anymore, so 2 races of Earthbound in one day. I don't know if I can mentally handle that. Once again, as they leave, go around the photo trigger. But they're using that $10,000 that they just got to help these people that they don't know get out of a debt. Yes, is such a good citizen. I would take that money and run. I don't owe this band anything. But we do need this bus, because for some reason, ghosts don't like buses that have a lot of music playing from them. $10,000 might be counterfeit, that is true. Now, so if you look at them and listen to the music, it kind of seems like they're bouncing up and down and dancing to the music. So I do think these ghosts like music. I think everything was lied to. Alright, so here in 3, whole place is gloomy. It's time to solve another mystery in true 90s 13-year-old style. While we're here, we need to get up to the top left corner of the town and hit a little trigger inside the graveyard. Fights here are very nasty. We have no equipment on. Paul is level 1. You don't want to get into any fight here at all. And in Earthbound, as opposed to mini games, where if you have lag in your speedrun, it's slowing you down. You'd want to try to minimize lag. Well, we want to try to minimize lag as much as possible, but lag can be your friend in Earthbound. In areas like this, if you're walking and all of a sudden your screen just slows to a halt, you know that enemies are coming up. And once you read that, you can back off and go ahead and despawn. That way you don't have to wait until enemies are on the screen to actually do the despawn, which lets you walk just a little bit less to do the despawn and saves you a bit of time. So learning how to read the lag is a huge, huge factor that can help you out. And here we are, 13-year-old Ness with his new girlfriend chasing a hooker into a hotel room. Once again, those of you who didn't grow up in the 90s, this is the life we had to live. Moral dilemmas at every corner. And once we go in, we are punished for making the wrong choice. And we are sent to a little graveyard. And while we're here, Paula, being psychic, is able to reach out across the universe and talk to a kid in a boarding school in a winter town. And this character is Jeff. He's a very polarizing figure in the Earthbound speedrunning community. He is our main damage dealer throughout the glitchless run, but he also fails a lot. And when he fails quite hard, because generally, if he does a low roll and doesn't kill a boss, that's the turn the boss decides, hey, I'm going to use my most powerful move. You didn't kill me. It's my chance. And then your run dies. But I think he has a couple of problems with them, because I don't know about y'all, but if I were ever laying in bed and I just heard a voice telling me, hey, go south, I would say, hey, I'm asleep. I ain't getting out of bed and going south. But Jeff just hears a voice in his head and decides, all right, I'm going south. His buddy wakes up and tells him, hey, you don't need to be out of bed. But Jeff's like, yo, I heard a voice. I'm going to go south. And okay, let's head down to the infirmary, buddy. But unfortunately, Tony's not a good enough friend to see the warning signs. While we're down here, we have one of our first real troll NPCs. Gives you a key to the locker, and we're going to go use it. And you would figure, hey, this guy's helping me out. We're going to get something good out of this. But unfortunately, the key is bent and doesn't fit. When we come back over here and we find out that he very well knew that it didn't fit, he just gave it to us anyway because he's a jerk. But now that we have the actual device that will open the doors, grab two pieces of equipment here. One of them is a weapon and the other is a hat that will give us a little bit extra defense. Very important to actually equip these things here. And even in 3.5 years of running, I still have days where I have forgotten to equip this stuff, and then you get into the next fight and think, wow, why did I just take 18 damage from one hit that should hit me for like 8? And then you die. Though I do believe my last gold split in Winners, I did have that death, because after that death, I skipped every fight. And here is the actual worst character in the game. Bubble Monkey, who is a big fan of bubblegum, a very erratic NPC, doesn't really cooperate in fights, doesn't cooperate on the map. And if you played Mother 3, I'm glad that he gets shocked constantly. Because he is, without a doubt, the worst character in any RPG ever. And that's this documented historical fact. So Flesh here is taking a dogfight. These fights are not mandatory. You can get away from them. But if you fight the dog here, you can get a little bit extra HP, up to 3. And 1 more point of offense, which can help. As well as a bread roll, which is just an extra healing item for anything that goes wrong. But only got 2 HP there. Which, I mean, it's better than 1. It can make it to where you can have an extra turn of life in the next fight. But that did put Watashi ahead a little bit. And once again, while in this tent, hearing another voice just saying, hey, go south. And like, all right, voice in my head, I'll go south. Now he's traveling with the monkey down to the Loch Ness Monster to travel south to meet a voice that was contacting him, allegedly telepathically. Oh, Flesh making a little bit of a mistake right there. What you want to do is, if Bubble Monkey stops before you get to that point, you want to just hold off on hitting the trigger and let him zoom back to you, because if he's far away, once you start this cutscene, Bubble Monkey's going to be walking at a very slow pace. So if you have a ways to go, Bubble Monkey's going to take a while to get there. So you lost a little bit more time on Watashi right there. So this is the MS Paint Beast. If you got it, I would recommend giving him some love there in that chat. Oh yeah, we got it in. It's the FFZ. And also, for those curious about how far we're going and what is Boogey percent, the next boss that we'll be fighting is Boogey Tent, coming up here in about 10 minutes. And once we beat that, we have to grab an item after there, and that will end the run. It's about the first quarter of a full glitchless run. Oh, look at that happy little face go off over there. Okay, so Watashi here, instead of just walking straight down, that's not a time loss or a mistake. You want to go at an angle here, down to the wall, and then around, because there is a 100% spawn tile if you go straight down, and it spawns a goat who will kill you. Okay, Protoplasm, true last boss of this category. This guy can call for help, he can confuse himself, which is what you want, or just attack Jeff every turn and kill him. So right now, Watashi's in a good position. Got him confused for flesh. Now, let's see, as long as he doesn't hit for 10, Watashi can kill him this turn. He has about 34 HP. All right, Watashi's good. And flesh is also good. Okay, there we go. No successful calls for help, no death. Watashi has healing items to get back up. You can skip that fight, but it's very hard. You can also skip this duck that's coming up. Oh, and flesh has the setup for it. Flesh may be seeing a duck skip here. Watashi can get a duck skip, but it has to not aggro. Go, 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 go. Oh, and Flesh with the duck skip. And unfortunately, Bubble Monkey stopped her. Oh, a double skip for Flesh. That gives him a huge time save. And that was not a gut save. A gut save is if you would have taken mortal damage, but you stop at 1. Watashi had 11 HP and took 10. So double skip from Flesh. The way those presents move, that is a new movement pattern, is once you get close enough to wake them up, they will move in a direct line, a set distance, and you can manipulate around them. Oh, Watashi with the second skip. Okay, there we go. Since she got that second skip, Flesh is not that far ahead of them. But an actual gut save, it's like if you have 25 HP and you take 26 damage and you end at 1. Watashi was at 11 and took 10, so that wasn't a gut save. Yeah, getting the duck skip brought Flesh up to a very good position here. And in Pond Cave, you can stutter step every enemy in the first room. So once again, stutter stepping, huge advantage if you're able to do it well. Ooh, let's see, with stutter stepping, if you tap the button just a little too long, what will happen is the enemies will get an extra chance to move. So gotta be careful. I don't know if you're hearing the game audio. If you're hearing the game audio, this is just cave music from Earthbound. I don't know if it has an actual name or not. Or being more specifically, Pond Cave music. Alright, so we do start seeing mushrooms in this section. They are a little different than the ones that Ness saw. Stat-wise, they are the same, but they don't have the lethal ability that the ones that Ness has, or the ones that Nest will see has, which can cause you to be confused as well as cause your controller to get its controls turned 90 degrees. So yeah, what they're doing here is, from the other sections in the game, that's called despawning. And what despawning does is you want to get about 20% off the screen, and that will cause the enemies to reload. And many times that will make it to where they will just go away, or sometimes it'll make you get more. But you don't want to fight any of these enemies. So at the top here, the only things that can spawn are the mushrooms. If you get a good favorable position, you're able to get past them quickly. You want them to either spawn on the bottom right or not spawn at all. Watashi not getting good spawns there. And there we go. She can go. Both of them can go, and they are screen for screen. All right. This will come down to the wire. So once again, Watashi had a death. She had great RNG at the start. Flesh had some good stuff in the mid game. But we are neck and neck. And again, for how much RNG is in this, them being synced up is quite crazy. This is a wonderful race. Yep, Astro Zombie Speed Gaming does a whole lot of things. And if you're a big fan of Earthbound, can't say it enough. I really recommend, if you're not following the Earthbound game on Twitch, be checking it out. Because all these races won't be on Speed Gaming. And there might be some runners on there that you've never seen before that you might really enjoy. I mean, not to say like I've got a race coming up in 30 minutes or nothing. I mean, you know, so there will be more. Again, there's 5 more races today. All right, so here we are on the Skyrunner. And we got another about 2-minute input break. But right after this is Boogie Tent. Yeah, Boogie Percent is we're going to Boogie Tent, which is the next fight that we'll be seeing, and they are neck and neck. Yeah, once we get here, we'll see the true power or failure of Jeff. That very well may be what this comes down to. Is Jeff going to be a failure, or is he going to be a winner? But again, remember, Jeff is doing all this on the assumption that the voice that he heard in his head is valid. So now he's on a spaceship after traveling away from his school, just to see if the voice in his head was actual for real. Fortunately, it does pay off for him. Earthbound is a very unpredictable game. And as I said, 3.5 years of running, I've never had the same run twice. You always have different RNG. You always see different situations. The main thing that you can get for trying to be a better runner is learning how to deal with the bad situation, because the game is going to give you bad situations. And your ability to be able to deal with those situations and knowing when do you take a fight? Do you need to fight something? How do you fight it? Can you despawn it? Can you stutter step it? Because you're never going to go into a place outside of manipulation and see the same thing all the time. Alright, so fortunately, the schizophrenic messages that Jeff was getting were not. They were actually telepathy, so he's here. And they are both going to be coming out, unlocking this door. And heading down. Oh, Watashi missing the door just a little bit. But it's alright, that synced him back up a little bit. Yeah, Cruel, I need just a little bit of a break. Use the bathroom and grab a drink. Oh, wow. Flesh is going to want to go right back down there. Go, 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 go. Oh, my God. If you ever see enemies out there, always just go straight back. That is really unfortunate to get that butterfly. That butterfly is going to make the difference. Wow. Oh, and again, this is Earthbound RNG. They were virtually synced up, and then just getting a butterfly, which is normally a favorable thing, has now put Flesh behind. What an unfortunate thing to put him behind. That's about 12 seconds, I believe, that we're... Oh, man, and Jeff hit with a great bottle rocket. Bottle rocket can hit from 0 to 750. Watashi is heading on in. That butterfly kind of sealed Flesh's fate. And Flesh got a 465. I'm gonna have a 2-turn. Boogie Tent can do a basic attack. He can make everybody cry. He can also raise his own defense. Unfortunately, the butterfly stole it away. So Watashi will be our victor here. Still a very close race. And now Watashi gets it, and didn't stop her time there. Or it might be a little bit of a delay. So yeah, the big thing that came down to was just unfortunately getting a butterfly spawn coming out of the prison. And there we go. Flesh is done. So Watashi does get it with an official SRL time of 1:11:09, and Flesh is at 1:11:40. That was a great race from both of them. It's so unfortunate that a butterfly is what would cause that. But that is the nature of Earthbound. All right, so once again, we are looking at, for the remainder of the day... Yeah, I got to get my SNES and everything hooked up, Cruel, so it's going to be a few. Let's see. Cruel and I are about to have a race. And then at 3 p.m. Eastern, you have Penguin 8R and Swerve. At 4 p.m. Eastern, you have me and Sylvan Edge racing, as well as Drumboardist and Skateman. And then at 9 p.m. Eastern, you have Aureliux and Cerium racing. So a lot of Earthbound going on today. Be sure to follow this channel and the other Speed Gaming channel, as well as follow the Earthbound game. Not all of these will be restreamed on this channel. So if you love Earthbound, like the races, keep on checking it out. Got a whole lot of it coming up. But I'm going to get out of here because apparently I'm racing here in a few minutes and I have to get my SNES set up.
Hooray, restream. I can see them, guys. Woo! Yeah, everything's all right on my end. So it looks like Falk is already going to start this race with the tiniest of disadvantages. Usually you want to go with one character names because in the English version of Earthbound, the text loads one letter at a time. Every time that dog's name or the favorite food shows up, it's going to be those frames. It's funny names though, so I'll give them style points for that. Yeah, that's the classic saying. I remember my mama telling me that growing up. If you want to make an omelet, you better break some frames. One of those classic life sayings. Pretty sure that's exactly how it goes. Got a little Sunday brunch run going on. Shoutouts to Cruel for being able to do this.